Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah, good to be back.
You guys sent in something pretty interesting this week, an article all about a great reset.
A reset, huh?
Yeah, hitting the global economy, and we had to dive deep into this one.
Well, let's get into it then.
Yeah, so we've got David Vogel, who's a retired CEO, and a
Okay.
solar energy advocate and a pastor.
Wow. Quite the resume.
Yeah, talk about range, right?
Yes.
And he kind of lays out all of his predictions for this great reset in this LinkedIn article.
Okay.
And honestly, some of it's pretty alarming.
All right, so where do we even begin unpacking this?
Well, I think the first place that Vogel starts is with something we're all feeling right now, inflation.
Right.
Remember that crazy 8% peak we hit back in 2022?
Oh, yeah.
Things have calmed down a little bit, but Vogel doesn't think it's going away anytime soon.
Really? I thought we were kind of past the worst of it.
You'd think, right? Forecasts are showing it dropping to 2.8% by the end of the year. But even that's still way higher than what we were used to before the pandemic.
Right.
Vogel predicts it'll settle around 3.5% in 2025,
I see.
which for many people might not seem like a huge deal. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Even those small price increases really add up over time.
Yeah, that's true. It's easy to kind of overlook that gradual erosion of your buying power when you're focused on, just getting by day to day.
Exactly.
Is that kind of what he's getting at?
Yeah, exactly. He uses this analogy of your morning coffee.
Okay.
So think about it. That latte you grab every day
Yeah.
might cost $1 or $2 more than it did a few years ago.
Right.
Seems insignificant on its own right.
Yeah,
But it really eats away at your budget over time.
definitely.
And it's not just coffee, right?
Right.
Groceries, gas, everything.
Everything. Yeah, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, You don't realize how much it's impacting you until you step back and look at the bigger picture.
Absolutely. And according to Vanguard, which is, a major investment firm, this persistent inflation is going to hit the middle class particularly hard.
I see.
And when you kind of combine that with all these other global economic shifts that are happening, it paints a pretty bleak picture for the next few years.
So this isn't just like a temporary blip. He's suggesting that we're entering like a new era of consistently higher prices.
Yeah.
A reset, as he puts it.
Yeah, he does use that word a lot.
Has he indicated like which specific areas he thinks will be hardest hit?
Yes. He specifically mentions healthcare, education, and housing,
Okay.
and believes, costs in these areas are just going to remain high for the foreseeable future.
So it's not even just about adjusting to like a temporary increase.
Right.
It's about accepting like a fundamental shift in how much things cost.
Yeah, basically.
And if we consider that alongside his next point, well, let's just say it starts to feel a bit overwhelming.
You're talking about interest rates, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Fed has been cutting rates recently, but Vogel cautions us not to expect a return to those super low rates that we saw like back in the 2010s.
Right.
The ones that made it relatively easy to like buy a house or start a business.
Yeah, like free money, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. And in fact, he predicts that by the end of 2025, interest rates will settle around 3.5%.
Wow.
Which is triple what they were before the pandemic.
It's easy to forget like how much we've relied on those low rates for so long.
Yeah. It's like Vogel saying, say goodbye to easy money.
Yeah. Really? This is going to be a huge blow for like small businesses who are struggling with higher operating costs, and for people like us buying a home might remain a distant dream.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's important to point out this isn't just like a U.S. issue either.
Right.
Vogel emphasizes that this is a global trend. He mentions that central banks in like Europe and Asia are also tightening monetary policy to try and control inflation. To put it simply, they're making it more expensive to borrow money in an effort to slow down spending and, bring prices down.
Wow. So it really does feel like the entire financial world is shifting beneath our feet.
Yeah.
And as if all of that wasn't enough, there's another potential storm brewing on the horizon, unemployment.
That's right. Now the September jobs report actually looked pretty good on the surface.
Yeah.
With 254,000 new jobs added.
Yeah, it seemed like a positive sign.
Yeah, it sounds pretty encouraging at first glance.
Yeah.
But Vogel thinks it might just be the calm before the storm.
What's making him so skeptical of this seemingly good news?
Well, for one thing, the unemployment rate has already ticked up to 4.3%.
Oh, okay.
And Deloitte, a major consulting firm, is projecting that it could reach 4.5% by the end of 2025.
Oh, wow.
Now, that might not seem like a huge jump, but it represents a lot of people losing their jobs.
Sure.
And it's important to remember that even small increases in unemployment can have, ripple effects throughout the economy.
That makes sense. And here's what's really worrying me.
Yeah.
Those sectors that have been driving job growth recently, like hospitality, healthcare, construction,
Right.
those are incredibly vulnerable to economic downturns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. When people are worried about money, they cut back on eating out, traveling, home renovations.
It's a bit of a house of cards, isn't it?
Yeah.
If people start feeling squeezed by inflation and high interest rates, they'll inevitably cut back on spending.
Yeah.
That means fewer people going out to eat, fewer home renovations, and so on.
Uh-huh.
This leads to those industries laying people off, which further weakens the economy, and we end up in, a vicious cycle.
Exactly. And that's precisely what Vogel is warning us about.
A great reset, as he dramatically puts it.
Yeah.
It seems like we're only just at the beginning of this massive shift.
Okay, well, this is a lot to process.
Yeah.
What exactly does this great reset look like in practice? What's going to change?
Well, Elise Vogel paints a picture of a world where the old rules simply don't apply anymore.
Okay.
He believes this isn't just a passing phase, It's a fundamental shift in the global economic landscape we're talking about. Supply chains becoming more localized, higher interest rates becoming the new normal,
Right.
and a complete restructuring of global trade relationships.
It's kind of like a tectonic shift.
Exactly.
Like everything gets rearranged.
Exactly, and this rearrangement is happening worldwide.
Okay.
Vogel highlights the fact that central banks across the globe are tightening their belts,
Okay.
meaning they're raising interest rates to control inflation.
Uh-huh.
He even quotes Ray Dalio,
Okay.
founder of Bridgewater Associates, who warns that we're approaching a tipping point where the global debt bubble could start to deflate.
Okay. Debt bubble deflating. Sounds pretty scary. Can you, break that down for me a little?
Sure. Think of it this way. For years, governments, businesses, and individuals have been borrowing money at incredibly low rates.
Right.
This created a huge amount of debt, the debt bubble.
Yeah.
Now, as interest rates rise, it becomes more expensive to service that debt. Some borrowers might struggle to make their payments, and if enough of them default, it could trigger a financial crisis.
Oh, wow.
It's like a domino effect that can ripple through the entire economy.
So it's not just about prices going up.
Right.
It's about the entire financial system, becoming more unstable.
That's the concern, Elise. And what's interesting is that even Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, is being cautious. He calls this period uncharted waters, which tells you something about the level of uncertainty we're facing.
Okay, well, if even Warren Buffett is nervous, maybe we should be too.
Yeah.
But panicking doesn't really help anyone. What does Vogel suggest people do to prepare for this great reset? Does he offer any practical advice?
He does. First and foremost, he's a big advocate for diversification. He doesn't believe in putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
So instead of relying on one type of investment or income source,
Okay.
you want to spread your risk across different assets and skill sets.
That makes sense. Don't bet on just one thing.
Right. Exactly. So what does he recommend specifically? Well, he specifically recommends looking at precious metals like gold and silver as safe havens during times of uncertainty. The classic safe as gold idea.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that before, but why silver in particular?
Well, Vogel cites a prediction from Focus Economics that silver prices are expected to rise because of increased demand from the solar and electric vehicle industries.
Ah, so he's connecting this back to the green energy transition.
Exactly. He sees the shift away from fossil fuels as a huge opportunity, suggesting investment in solar, wind, and electric vehicle companies as demand in those sectors is only going to grow.
It's good to see that he's not just predicting disaster. This focus on green energy is actually a bit optimistic amidst all the doom and gloom.
I agree. I think that's one of the things I appreciate about Vogel's perspective, Elise.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the challenges, but he also highlights potential opportunities. So beyond precious metals and green energy, what else does he suggest? Well, he talks a lot about the increasing importance of what he calls skills-based investments.
Skills-based investments. What does that even mean? It sounds a bit abstract.
He's essentially saying that in a future where automation and AI are changing the workforce,
Right.
your most valuable assets will be the skills you can't easily automate.
So things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving.
Exactly. And also things like healthcare skilled trades,
Yeah.
anything that requires human interaction, empathy, and expertise.
So are you saying we should all go back to school and learn how to code or become plumbers?
Well, it's not necessarily about specific professions. It's more about being adaptable, continuously learning, and developing a diverse set of skills that will be valuable in the future job market.
Okay.
Imagine this way. You're building a toolbox, but instead of hammers and screwdrivers, you're filling it with critical thinking, communication skills, and adaptability.
Okay.
These are the tools that will allow you to navigate whatever challenges the future throws your way.
That's actually really good advice. It's about investing in yourself and your ability to adapt.
Exactly. And finally, Vogel offers one very practical piece of advice.
Okay.
Lock in favorable rates now for loans, mortgages, refinancing, that sort of thing.
Because he thinks interest rates are only going to go up from here.
That's his prediction. Yes, he believes this period of high interest rates is going to last for a while. So securing a good rate now could save you a lot of money in the long run.
Okay, that's some seriously solid advice. It sounds like Vogel has a pretty clear picture of what's coming and what people can do to weather the storm.
He certainly presents a compelling case, and, whether or not all of his predictions come true.
He's definitely given us a lot to think about. It's like a wake-up call urging us to be more proactive and prepare for a different economic future.
Precisely.
Well, Oscar, I don't know about you, but I'm suddenly feeling a strong urge to check my investment portfolio and maybe sign up for that coding class I've been putting off just in case.
I think that's a wise move, Elise.
So what does this all mean for you listening? And you said in this article, you're obviously interested in this topic, but how does this great reset affect your life, your finances, your career? These are big questions. But luckily, Vogel doesn't just leave us hanging with a sense of impending doom. He offers some real actionable advice. And that's what we're going to dive into after a quick message. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We have.
From persistent inflation and sky-high interest rates to a potential unemployment crisis and this complete, reshaping of the global economic order.
It's a lot to process.
It is a lot to process.
But at least what I found most encouraging from Vogel
Yeah.
was his emphasis on, personal action.
Yeah.
He doesn't just leave us with a sense of impending doom.
You're right. He provides some, practical advice and strategies that we can use to kind of navigate these turbulent times.
Yeah. He's all about diversifying, investing in safe havens like precious metals and looking for those opportunities in sectors like green energy that are poised for growth.
And I think his point about skills-based investments is particularly relevant right now.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that in a rapidly changing world, your ability to adapt and learn new skills is crucial.
It's almost like the world is changing the rules of the game.
Yeah.
But instead of getting stuck on the old rules, you're learning how to become a better player.
Exactly.
And he even gives that down-to-earth financial advice, locking in favorable rates now.
Yeah.
Well, we still can.
Yeah. It all comes back to knowledge being power.
Right.
The more informed you are about what's coming,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be to make smart decisions for yourself and your future.
Totally.
And this isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about understanding the forces at play.
Yeah.
And making informed choices, based on that understanding.
It boils down to this isn't just another recession.
Right.
It's a fundamental economic reset.
A reset. Yeah.
And the choices you make now will have a significant impact on your financial well-being, in the years to come.
Vogel's insights, whether or not all of his predictions come true, really highlight the urgency of planning for a different economic future.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't about panicking. It's about taking informed action.
Total.
It's like getting ready for a storm.
Yeah.
You might not know exactly when or where it will hit, but you can prepare your house, gather supplies, and have a plan in place.
Yeah. He uses this great analogy borrowing from Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
He says, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So thinking about your own finances, your career, your goals, are you ready for the tide to go out?
That's a powerful image, Elise.
It is.
And it's a question we should all be asking ourselves. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about taking a realistic look at the situation and making sure you're prepared for whatever lies ahead.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore when it comes to navigating this great reset. So keep learning, keep asking questions, and stay curious.
And remember, even in times of uncertainty and change, there are always opportunities for growth and innovation. So keep an open mind, stay informed, and don't be afraid to embrace new ideas and approaches.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for sending us Vogel's article and prompting this conversation.
It's been great.
We'll be diving deeper into specific strategies and resources for navigating this great reset in future episodes. So be sure to stay tuned.